Good morning, everyone. I am Charles Steven Duck, together with my members, Miss Joyce Hart Inanod and Miss Guarda Rose and Guarda Kiver. And we are Group 6, and we're going to be discussing about the purpose and censorship of children and adolescent literature. So without further ado, let us delve to our discussion. So we have here prominent historians in children's literature, namely F.J. Harvey Darton, Percy Muir, and E.M. Field highlight the value of children's literature as primarily a source of entertainment next to instruction. So you have there primarily a source of entertainment. So now, children's literature is primarily used for entertainment for children, but it is not just the children that can benefit from this. No, the adults also has a benefit because through these stories, learning can occur. And experts have said that through children's literature, children can develop excuse me, positive attitude to reading, and through this, learning can co-occur. So not children's literature is not just for mere entertainment, but also a bridge for learning to occur. So next slide is in education, academicians view children and adolescent literature as a good source and of modeling the acceptable behaviors, virtues, and beliefs valued by the general public. So it is the same view shared by the rest of the stakeholders involved in the overall development of the community. No? So the administration, the parents, business entrepreneurs, and elected leaders, both in academic institutions and in the government. Everyone believes that books and other educational resource materials should have served as a role model to children and youth alike. So you have there a good source of modeling. So we all have role models in our life. It could be your parents or K-pop idols or artists or influencers. But in education, they believe that that the best role models are the stories in the books. So now the administration, the stakeholders, the parents, the business entrepreneurs believe that the stories in children's literature are the best role models for children because it can model acceptable behaviors, virtues, and beliefs. So now an example of that is I have an example of this kind of children's literature. We have first here the fox and the crow. So no, in the story, the fox and the crow children learn how to be cautious about too much flattery, and and that individuals who are good with flattery only gain when others listen to them. So in this story, uh, the crow here naa siya'y cheese man yata siyang beak, and naa siya sa tree. And dito siya, nagtambay siya dito. And nakita din siya sa fox. And si fox is gutom. And he wanted what the crow has on her beak. So no, so iya din siya gi-flatter para makuha ang gusto. Yang giingon na gwapa kaayo siya feathers, tsara kay siya tingog lagi daw, pwede daw siya mahimong singer. And because of that flattery, nabuy-an ni Crow ang block of cheese kay tungod iyang gibuka iyang baba. And tungod ato nahulog ang cheese and nakuha sa crow. Ay nakuha sa crow, nakuha sa fox. So no, that is the moral of the story. No, the too much flattery, that individuals who are good with flattery only gain when others listen to them. No, so that is the moral of the story. No. So another here is why the piña has 100 eyes. So we all know this, we are all familiar with it. So no, so this story is popular, no, in the Philippines, no, because it teaches children to overcome laziness, no, and also parents to think twice before uttering wishes out of anger or frustration. So no, it's better to be ano gyud, careful gid ta parents. So duwa yang maigo ani ang children o ang parents. It talks about the children to be not lazy, no? And for the parents to dili sila to not speak when they're angry para maiwas ta sa mga childhood trauma sa bata, no? It can inflict them trauma man gyud kung ingana. So, because of this children's literature, we have here the role of literature as a good resource for students' acquisition of communication competencies. So it is not only for entertainment again, it is also for learning. No? Children's literature is not just for mere entertainment, it is also a way of learning for our children. And first we have here is the grammatical competence. No? So grammatical competence, it talks about how children use grammar, both spoken and written, in communication. No? Kubro sila sa paggamit sa verb, sa paggamit sa noun, sa mga other things that revolves around grammar. And of course, discourse competence, the way we talk, we communicate to other people, they can learn from it sa books, no? Sa ilang children's literature. Excuse me. So next is social linguistic competence. It talks about how our children uses language in a specific context. So for example, in school, when they talk to their teachers, may sila good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Sa ilang friends, ikaw sila hi, hello. So nga na siya. Ang social linguistic, it revolves around the context of that in an area, no? And next is strategic competence. Kani siya is about how how our children or our students overcome difficulties by using language, no? So it is the ability to use communication strategies to overcome difficulties and breakdowns in communication. So, for example, paraphrasing when you don't know a word, our children will paraphrase a word. So that mo yun sila na example sa kabalo sa ang kanin sa gani scissor. So moingon sila, mom, can you get me the thing that used to cut the paper? So di ba na sila ilang gi paraphrase ko sa kabalo sa scissor. So yung ana ang strategic competence, no? Ilang ma-paraphrase ang word to overcome their difficulties of something they do not know of. And of course, this children's literature is not overall good, no, for our children. Kinay uban children's literature na very dark and very na pod siya, very not appropriate for their age. So that is why we have here the censorship, which is to be discussed by Miss Joyce Hart Inanod. So I am Charles Inda. Thank you, everyone.
Good day everyone, I am Joyce and today I'll be the one to discuss about censorship. So what is censorship? So censorship is the process of controlling access to books, articles, or other materials to remove content that is considered offensive, harmful, or inappropriate. And in the United States, censorship happens when certain groups decide that some books or materials are not suitable for readers, especially for the young readers. And this can be because the content talks about topics like sexuality, LGBTQ plus issues, religion, racism, or violence. And in the United States, parents, schools, and advocacy groups often step into challenge or ban these materials, believing that they need to protect the young readers from content they think is harmful or inappropriate. And this reflects ongoing debates about what is safe or acceptable for young audiences or for young readers. So now, did you know that there are two popular tales that is being censored? And these tales are the Frog King and Cinderella. And the tone of these fairy tales are lighter, magical, and focused on positive lessons. But in the original version, both illustrate brutality and violence in the text. So, as indicated in the excerpt, the princess did not kiss the frog prince for love, but instead threw him hard into the wall, right? And it ultimately demonstrates brutality, especially when the princess, knowing that the frog was once a human being, a prince. And this part of the original story is often censored because it contains violence and aggressive imagery that may be considered inappropriate for young readers. And the act of the girl throwing the frog against the wall can be seen as promoting or normalizing cruelty or violence, which could send the wrong message to children. And the sudden transformation of the frog into a prince after such an act might be interpreted as justifying violence as means to achieve a positive outcome. Censorship of this section is typically intended to protect young readers from exposure to such disturbing content. Next is we have the Cinderella. So, as you read the excerpt, this part of the original Cinderella story is often censored, right? Because it describes the sisters hurting themselves in a very graphic way. So in the story, the mother tells them to cut parts of their feet to fit into the slipper, which is violent and disturbing. This content is not considered good for young readers because it can be upsetting and might send a bad message. For example, like saying it's okay to harm yourself to get what you want. So here, the censors often remove or alter these details to make the story more suitable for children, focusing on the magical and moral aspects rather than the violent and disturbing elements. Overall, censorship aims to remove or alter content that could negatively influence readers' behavior, emotions, or understanding, ensuring that the material aligns with societal values and is appropriate for the intended audience. And that concludes my part of our report, and I hope you learned something. And for further discussion, here's Miss Rose Ann Guardaquiver. Thank you.
So thank you so much, Miss Joyce Hart Inanod. Once again, good day everyone. Today, I will discuss the studies of Hopkins of 1991 and Cencorship of 2011 about the process of censorship in schools and libraries. So why it is important to understand the process of censorship? Understanding the process of censorship is crucial because it ensures that the materials are chosen fairly, balancing the freedom of expression with the need to respect the community values. So the process helps protect students from potentially harmful content while also preserving the right to access diverse information and perfecting. So without further ado, let's start. So let us first talk about the study of Hopkins of 1991. Hopkins identified 6 factors that influence book challenges. So first process. First, the narrative about the text challenge and the issue of complaint. So this means that understanding what the complaint is about and what specific part of the book is being questioned. This is the first step in determining whether the complaint has merit. So the second one, the challenges or the party initiating the challenge. So this refers to knowing who is making the complaint, such as the parents, teachers, or others. So the source of the complaint helps understanding its background and possible motivations. So the third one, the librarian's character and expertise. So the librarian plays a key role in explaining the book's background and addressing concerns raised. So this expertise ensures that the decision about book challenges are based on facts and professional judgment. So the fourth one is the library's existing policy and level of implementation. So the librarian's policies are checked to see if the book was selected properly. So these policies guide the selection process and help ensures that books are chosen fairly and responsibly. So the fifth process, the degree of supports and involvement of the academic institution, faculty, personnel, and officials. So the faculty and the school officials are involved in discussion and decision about the book. Their support or opposition to challenge can greatly influence the outcome of the process. So the last process, external support provided by the immediate community. So the community like parents or local organizations may also provide support or share their opinions. So this external input helps ensures that the decision reflects the values of the larger community. So Hopkins highlights that these 6 factors help ensure fairness when addressing book challenges. By involving multiple stakeholders, the process becomes more balanced and thorough. So now, let us turn to the study of Jenkins of 2011. So both Hopkins and Jenkins define similar process. However, Jenkins outlines more specific steps in the process. So the first process of Jenkins is the rising of the nature of complaint about the book or literature. So the process starts when someone raises a complaint about a book's contents or themes. So this sets the entire process in motion and highlights the needs to address concerns promptly. So the second process, the acknowledgments of the individual or party raising the issue. So the person or group making the complaint is identified and their concerns are heard. Recognizing the complaint ensures that all perspectives are considered. So the third process is the librarian's statement regarding the background of the literature of the interest and the issue of concern. So the librarian provides information about the book and explains why it was chosen. This helps clarify the intent behind the book's inclusion and addresses any misunderstandings. So the fourth process, the citing of the library policies adhered with maximum observance during the selection of the book or literature. So the library's policies are reviewed to ensure that the book follows proper guidelines. This helps validate the librarian's decision and shows that the selection process was fair. So the fifth process, the entire institution participation, the board of directors or the faculty official during the discussion whether in favor or against the complaint. So schools officials and faculty members meet to discuss the complaint and decide the book's fate. So their involvement ensures that the decision is made with input from all the relevant parties. So the last process, the involvement of the immediate community in expressing their view on the matter. So the community is invited to share their opinions before the final decision is made. Community involvement helps ensures that the process is democratic and reflective of the larger society. So Jenkins shows that involving all stakeholders ensures a balanced and fair outcomes. The process of considering multiple viewpoints helps avoid bias and ensures that the final decision is well informed. So as we observe in the process, the first two steps involve recognizing the challenge. The subsequent steps engage the expertise of various stakeholders, including the librarians, educators, and the broader academic community. At this stage, a hearing may be convened to carefully discuss the issue. The institution library policies which align with its vision, mission, and goals are essential in resolving these challenges. The resolution process ultimately determines the fate of the challenge book, whether it remains available or undergoes restriction. But what happens if there's no formal challenge? Can censorship occur without a formal complaint? The answer is yes. Librarians and educators, based on their professional judgment, may engage in personal censorship. After selecting books, they might preemptively identify content that could become controversial or objectionable. In this case, censorship happens when a book is excluded from the collection due to anticipated concerns from the stakeholders. So since we talk about the process now, let's talk about the decision and the challenge literature or book. So once the challenge is discussed and analyzed, the decision about the book or literature is made. If the complaint is found to be unfounded, the book remains accessible without restrictions. However, if the content is deemed objectionable, a compromise may be reached. So including first, close shelving. So the book remains in the library, but access requires specific permission. So for example, permission from parental consent, ensuring that only those deemed appropriate can access it. Second, relocation to the reference section. So the book may be moved to a section where it can be read on site, limiting its circulation and ensuring that it's used with caution. Third, reclassification. So it means that the book may be restricted to higher grade levels, meaning it will be available only to older students based on its content being more suitable for them. Fourth, altering the text. If certain content is deemed offensive, the book may undergo editing or censoring with objectionable passage removed or altered. This aims to keep the material available while addressing the concerns. And the last one, banning the book. In severe cases, the book may be completely removed from the library and prohibited from circulation. This is the most extreme form of censorship, where access to the book is denied entirely. So these decisions are made based on the severity of the complaint and the book's perceived potential harm. Each option provides a balance between addressing concerns and maintaining access to diverse literature.